It's great to see such a wonderful crowd today, and we're excited to have Mary and Building Brave here. For those of you that, if this is your first time at 1 Million Cups, welcome. We're a casual group. Feel free to get up and get the coffee while it's still there, and get some bagels during the presentation. The way that the format works is we will have Mary present about Building Brave for about 15 minutes, and then we'll open up the presentation to questions from the audience, so make sure you're thinking during her presentation. We also have Atlas providers here providing us with an expert panel. So as we go through introductions, we'll have our experts with Atlas just introduce yourselves and say that you're on the panel today, and they'll kind of kick off some targeted questions. First, big thanks to Field 59 back there for doing the live stream and video recording. If you ever can't access or can't get to the library to see 1 Million Cups, you can go onto the live stream or onto our YouTube channel and see all the past presentations. We also have the library here donated this room, so thanks to Tom Carl's out there and the library for being big supporters. Old National Bank, they provide the coffee, so that we have fresh coffee from our local coffee shop Crescendo every week. And now we'll just do some quick introductions around the room. I'm Rachel Neal, and I am with Carex Consulting Group.
I'm Drew Corson. I'm also with Carex Consulting Group and 1 Million Cups.
Woohoo! Yeah, right? Yeah, just saying.
I'm Betsy Osterberger. I'm with Ideas That Evoke. It's a social media marketing agency, and we do social for Building Brave.
Good morning, I'm Holly Hollister. I'm the founder of HQ Group, Heart, Head, and Half.
Hey, Eric Lawrenson, Capital Times.
Alicia Greer at CPA.
I'm Brian Sampson, 1040 Consulting.
Erin Ogden, attorney at Ogden Glazer, and we three are on the panels. So get ready to ask us questions. Because we don't have anything else to say unless you ask questions.
Hi, I'm Danielle Williams. I work for the state Senate Democratic leader, Jennifer Schilling.
Travis Human, owner of Stray Cat Bicycles.
Mitch DeWitt, I'm with Merrill Lynch. I focus on impact investing.
Good morning, I'm Alex Ryan with Prairie Light Solar.
Laura Kaiser with Wisconsin Technology Council.
Garrett Lee, founder of WHOA, which stands for We Help One Another. And our vision is a thriving world where well-being is well.
I'm Tamara Songeroff, and I am with Midwest Lighting Institute.
I'm Dennis Barnum. I'm here as a part of Merlin Mentors.
Jason Liebman, JL Recruiting Solutions, consulting and recruiting placement.
I'm Chloe Mayer. I work with Free Bikes for Kids, and then I start next week at Fine Point Consulting.
Oh, awesome! Another mistake. Oh, sorry.
No, that's great.
I'm Steve Mayer. I'm with Personalized Transplant Solutions.
I'm Jen Flogel. I'm a business operations executive currently looking for my next opportunity.
Good morning. I'm Pam Christensen with Madison Gas and Electric and with Starting Block Madison.
Hi, I'm Steve Slatton. I have my own little business. I'm also doing some job prospecting.
Suzanne Duty with Raymaker and Associates.
I'm Dan Anderson with Baker Tilly.
I'm Idella Yabin with UW Extension and the Center for Technology Commercialization.
I'm Derek Ebler, CEO and founder of Field 59 Video Solutions. We work with media companies.
I'm Kristen Jacobs. I just relocated back to Madison from Chicago. I'm a product management professional, and I'm looking for my next job.
Hi, I'm Sean Kennedy. I'm a freelance reporter.
Good morning, Matt Helf, digital marketing consultant.
Brian Waite with Meckerman Insurance and Atlas Providers.
Amy Gannon with the Doyen Group.
Sheldon with Health X Ventures and Million Cups organizer.
Hi, I'm Sina. I'm a photographer at Cap Times.
I'm Eric Brown. I'm a business consultant, and until very recently I was the chair of Madison Area Business Consultants.
Thank you. So on that note, we're going to turn things over.
Great. Good. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you to Rachel and to 1 Million Cups. I think this is an amazing venue for new companies and organizations to be able to get the word out on what they are doing. And so with that, I'm going to start and tell you a little bit about Building Brave, which is a new organization that I launched about a year ago. And to talk about Building Brave, I really have to go back to really the moment the kernel at which it started. And that would be the morning after Election Day, 2014. And that is when my 13-month campaign to become governor of Wisconsin came to a crashing halt. And I woke up the next morning and I felt like I had been hit by a truck. Not only had I lost, but I let down hundreds of thousands of people who had put their hopes and their dreams in me. They had worked hard, they had knocked on doors, they had given me money. They had stood by me through some fairly tough times there. And so I knew I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to hear from anyone. There was quite a bit of shame that came with that. And so I decided to head out to a cottage that I have in the country. And I didn't know how long I would need to be out there before I could face the world again. I needed to stop at a grocery store because I didn't know how long I would be there. I was just hoping that no one would recognize me. And so I had on like a baseball cap and hair in a ponytail, sweatpants, no makeup. And the woman behind the meat counter takes one look at me and she's like, "Oh my God, you're Mary Burke." She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Tears came flooding out of my eyes and down my cheeks. It was as if like 13 months of pent-up emotion just was undammed. She comes running from behind the counter and comes up to me and says, "I just have to give you a big hug." Well, I went out to the country and I could do nothing the entire day. It was like I was just so emotionally and physically drained. All I did was sit and watch TV. No phone calls, I didn't answer a call, I didn't check email, no texts, nothing. And I think it was about 5 o'clock when I thought, you know what? I can open a bottle of wine. You know, I deserve that. And you know what? I have nothing else going on now. And a couple of hours later, my phone rings. And for some reason, I decided to answer it. It was one of those restricted calls, so I had no clue who it was. And the woman says, "Is this Mary Burke?" And I said, it is. And she said, "The president would like to speak with you." And all that I was thinking was how much of that bottle had I drank. Well, I woke up the next morning and my water was out. And the repair people said that it would probably be a week before they could get the piping to replace it. And I realized I needed to head back home. And as I thought about it, I thought, you know what? I'm okay. You know what? I don't have anything to be ashamed of. I took on a challenge that basically no one else in the state was ready to take on. I was the best candidate I could possibly have been. We ran a good campaign and defied most people's expectations by tying the race up and having a real shot at winning. And I had become the first and only woman in the history of Wisconsin to win a primary for governor and be on the general ballot. I thought, okay, yeah. And I thought, you know what, I am okay. And as I reflected over the next few months, I realized that getting dragged through the mud for 13 months and losing was the best thing that had ever happened to me. Because I felt stronger and more confident than I had ever been. I had discovered a me that I almost didn't even know existed. And it was something that I wanted to bottle up and share with other women, realizing that many of us, mainly because of probably some social conditioning, play smaller than we really have the potential for. And I realized I had, because almost every leadership position I had had, and I had had a successful career, were ones where other people had come to me and said, Mary, you should do this because you'd be really good. And then I would go, like most women, oh, you know, I'm sure there's someone who's better. They're like, no, you'd be great. I would be like, okay. I mean, I do have this great sense that if I just work hard at anything, I can accomplish almost anything. And so as I started to have conversations with women and lay out my vision, they're like, yes, absolutely, do it. We'll be with you. So that's when I started building Brave. I took that experience and made it into something that was positive. I could have crawled under a rock. That's what a lot of people do after losing in such an incredibly public way. But I decided to tap into it and created Building Brave. So our mission is for women to discover their most confident self. It's different for everyone. Our message to women is to be bold, to be brave, but most important, to be you. And our vision is to create a global community of 10 million women, to connect, to support, to encourage each other, so that every day in every aspect of our lives, we're bold, we're brave, and we're being ourselves. What we will be is online and mobile. We'll be conversation and content. We're going to be a digital platform that supports and brings together other women's organizations throughout the world for deeper and broader impact. And I'm going to show you a short video here that's talks a little. Well, hold on. I'm gonna. Okay. Does everyone hear that? Okay. Okay.
We're all building Brave. Think of us like hundreds of your new bravery-boosting friends, an online community of women empowering each other to discover and be our most confident selves. By magnifying what makes us the strong, confident go-getters we are, we'll not only put labels in their place, we'll grab stereotypes by the balls of paper. We're actually paper-free. We're an app and online community that you can access from anywhere at any time. A place where women can be their most real, badass, non-perfect, brave selves and cheer on other women to do the same. And we're inviting you, yes you, to join us. What's in it for you, you ask? Lots! Like oh my gosh moments, aha realizations, and simple nudges to boost your brave. It's all supported by experts and science. Just set up your profile and jump in. Buzz over to the nav bar and discover all our fabulous features. In community, you'll find easy access to your support squad for high fives, friendly discussions, and encouragement. Join a group to find content that is most relevant to your life. Choose a daily Brave boost to gently expand your comfort zone and discover your most confident self. And as you boost your Brave in speech, body language, setting boundaries, and more, you'll earn BB points. Your points can be used as votes towards giving a charitable donation to a non-profit doing great work with women and girls. Because we know, when women support other women, incredible things happen. So what are you waiting for? Let's build our Brave. All you have to do is request access to our closed beta version, and you'll get all of us, your built-in support squad.
So where we are right now is we have released 2 weeks ago our closed beta version. So we are using an iterative development process. With each version, we get input back from our users, and we use that to develop the next version. So our time schedule is to release an open beta version in April and to have a public launch in June. And so certainly would ask people to follow us on social media. Betsy is here, and Ideas That Evoke, which is local here, has done an amazing job, and we have, I think, on Facebook nearly 60,000 followers. Download the app. So because it is a closed beta version, you'd go to our website, which is buildingbrave.org, quickly register, and within 24 hours you will get an email regarding how to access and join in. If you're in the app, as the video had shown, that there's groups to join. We have a group called Women in Tech. That's so that women can find the content and the conversations that's most relative and relatable to their lives. I want to do a shout out to Madison Women in Tech because they stepped up and actually created content to get this group started. So this will be the first of what we hope are just hundreds of groups that will exist in Building Brave. We'd love to have people as power users. Everyone who knows about social community knows it takes those people to get the conversation started, to share it with others. And so we really would appreciate people jumping in and leading as power users. And then my final message is to everyone to live your lives every day, being bold and being brave and being yourself. So thank you for having me, and turn it over to Rachel.
So I think at this point we're going to have our panelists take some seats up front and kick off the Q&A with a round of questions from them, and then we can open up the floor to everybody.
So one of my first questions is, where do you see the role of men in this?
Yeah. That's something that we want to see how it develops. It needs to be a supportive community, and that is first and foremost. But really, for women to continue to progress, and we've made incredible progress over the last 50 and 100 years. I think what I was surprised to find out is how far we still have to go. And so we want to have men be a part of that, but we also want it to be in a way that is supportive, and we don't know how that looks like right now. Within our groups, we are also working with organizations. Medical College of Wisconsin is going to have a closed group. They want to have an environment, a work environment that is thriving and supportive for women. And so we are using some of our beta testers, some of our groups, to also see how they see that could happen within our organizations. We're working with the Lean In UW-Madison chapter to see how we can support their mission and their work to engage their members in a really deep way on a daily basis, along with the Madison chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, which is the largest African-American women's sorority. So we see that using those organizations as betas also gives us insights to say, hey, how do you want to see this develop, so that, and those ideas could very easily include men too. But I think when we get into the workplace, particularly, that's why I mentioned Medical College of Wisconsin, I think there will be more and more ways that you see how that can happen.
So another question I have is, you say that you're having these other organizations. If we're involved in an organization that we think would make sense. So like I active in Women in IP group for AIPLA. Mm-hmm. And I could see that leading group being interested. So if we see that we have an organization that would be interested in this, how do we wait until you aren't open? Do we try and connect now? Is there something that we can do to kind of
absolutely connect now, because open beta is only really 2 months away, and it's not just having a group, because frankly people can have a Facebook group. There's other ways of just having discussion. It does revolve around the content and what we call a daily boost. So you sign on and your Brave, your dashboard called My Brave, you immediately get a feed that you can scroll through of little daily practices. And so the organizations that have closed groups either take our content, which has been informed by psychologists and life coaches, or they create their own. And so the time frame for creating that and doing it in a way that's really good, meaningful content, it certainly can take some time. We also are going to be moving towards in open beta where it's user-generated content. So it's not just us saying, here, do this. It's users saying, hey, this is what I have used in my own life. This is actually what works for me. Other members of those groups or community weigh in and say, through commenting, hearting, whatever, to say, yeah, actually, that's great too. So then we can, if it gets enough feedback or hearts, that we can then promote it to be an overall boost that's available to other people. So yes, we definitely want to work with groups, and we feel that what is missing for a lot of groups that have, women's groups that have face-to-face interaction with their members, is a type of digital platform that really helps support their mission and engages them.
So especially given your background and current political climate, you know, a lot of the women in my life have been getting more involved, even if they were already involved in women's rights issues, they're more involved in kind of the traditional political process now. Do you expect this platform to be used for political organizing specifically? And, you know, if so, what kind of privacy implications or kind of security have you thought about, you know, as opposed to Facebook?
Yeah, definitely not political. We're a nonprofit, a 501c3, and we work really hard to make sure that there's nothing that says this is somehow a political vehicle. And what I hope is that building brave, that being bold and getting out there is encouragement to women to get involved on either side of the aisle. It doesn't matter. Whatever you believe in is having the courage to step out there and do it. And so, no, definitely not political. And we have to work hard to make sure it doesn't become so.
I have a question related to, you mentioned experts in science who are involved in what's going out there and the daily boosts and that sort of thing. So where is that content coming from? I guess the research behind that, and then because I'm the accountant and I always have to play that side, is that all volunteer work or were there expenses incurred and that sort of thing?
Sure. So in terms of the content, I will share this. A lot of this isn't rocket science, right? One of the ones in our first week already, the most selected boost was one that we call about the S word. And it's not the S word you're thinking about, it's the sorry. Women over apologize. And so it's a short little practice about, hey, today, be intentional and think and try not to apologize for anything that you don't really need to. And you select that, and then at the end of the day, you completed it and you earned 50 points. And so what we did was we created a lot of the practices within Building Brave based on research, but then we have a panel of psychologists led by Dr. Janet Hyde at UW-Madison, along with life coaches who review every single one. To be honest with you, we didn't have the expertise or experience within Building Brave to do the boosts that are part of the moms group, because actually none of us were moms. And so we actually had a life coach who worked with real, she's a mom, but also worked with moms and came up with that content. So we wanted to be really good and engaging, and we have a copywriter who, because what we wrote actually isn't always as engaging as it could be, just based on the language that she also rewrote them to make them more fun. This has to be fun. I realize in a social community, when I first introduced my idea to women, I had 5 strategy sessions, over 100 women, 2 in Milwaukee, 3 here in Madison, 5 sessions. And I laid out my vision, and it was to have these grassroots groups forming all over the state. And we would be the first state in the country to have this type of sort of movement. And they're like, you know, Mary, we like the vision, but we don't need another monthly meeting. You got to meet us where we're at. That's what we heard. That's why we are digital. That's why we are online. That's why we are a mobile app. But we still realize we have to be engaging. We have to, women's lives are really busy, and we have to make it fun and worthwhile to be there. And then on the money side of it, we have to raise money. And actually, it costs quite a bit of money to develop this platform. And so we work with Filament Games right here around the corner. They've done, their history is in educational gaming, and so I think they understood this engagement, fun, but learning, and we've been really pleased with our partnership with them. So we are based right now, we're funded with donations, but my vision is that not only are we self-sustaining through corporate sponsorship, so you could see those boosts, you know, maybe one on body language confidence sponsored by Nike. You have corporate groups, any for-profit groups would be charged a fee, and another huge area are conferences. So I don't know about you guys, but whenever I go to a conference, I'm really pumped up about like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so going to do that in my life, right? And then like a month later, I look and that binder's still in the same place, and I haven't done it. So what Building Brave can do is a conference could become a group with private access. They could put all their content within that, and they could be actually allow their attendees to interact with the speakers within that forum too, so that they take that 3 days of engagement and actually have a way of engaging their attendees throughout the year. So that's something that we could charge for too. So my vision is actually we become a grant-making organization for girls and women's groups throughout the world, because we'll be bringing in more money than we need to sustain and grow our platform. Does that pass the numbers test?
Yeah.
You think?
Awesome. So at this point, we can open it to the whole floor for questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is probably a statistical anomaly in our world today, but what about women that don't have an iPhone or access to the internet or an app? I mean, and I know that's becoming less and less, but you know, their life circumstance may be such that they don't have that at this moment. And is there a way to reach out to people who don't have that luxury, if you will, of what we're used to in the world?
That's actually, we won't be doing that.
Yeah.
It's the growth, and this actually really requires a smartphone too, and so it's not just a mobile phone. But the growth in that is so tremendous, and in fact, if you go to some of the countries that are more developing countries, their main form of communications is the phone. And so, yes, we will, it is limited, but we think it's trending and growing. And this, you know, my vision of 10 million women, that's not going to be next year. You know, it might be 20 years from now. But we want to be part of the narrative and be incredibly inclusive to all different types of women. I mean, that's one of the reasons right out of the blocks we have a moms group, so that it's clear that this is not just for professional women, that we want this to be all women, regardless of where you are, and that in the long term, we realize that the need extends into younger, to girls as well, but that requires a different type of content. So it's on our radar, but I think what we hope is that the accessibility improves.
I got to thinking, I loved your 10 million, your big, audacious, scary goal.
Yeah.
Stepping in right away. And when you talked about power user, what I got to thinking about it with Aaron's comment about how you integrate more people and globally, that's exciting to me. But there's all these organizations that are silos and they don't talk, these groups like Women in Tech or whatever. For those of that like scary places, like me, I will do that, but that's not my first go-to. So I'm thinking a lot of us are boundary spanners in a lot of different places. So is it something where if we become a power user and we want to cross-pollinate and call it something else and invite in the moms and the tech group and hold the space for the content that's happening there? We're seeing threads and themes. Is that something that would be relevant? Would we be willing to facilitate or hold that or help support in that way?
Actually, the main part, absolutely, the main part about Building Brave actually is a common area. And then within that is choosing groups. You can be in multiple groups, but there is a common core. And that's what we want to facilitate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's the competitive landscape for this, and how do you differentiate?
Yeah. So I haven't heard that anyone else is doing this. And particularly with the focus that we have on women, and I think that's what the need is. And when I first thought about this issue, I reached out to a lot of different people. I went and talked to an organization in California because I wasn't about reinventing the wheel. I'm not doing this because I need to do this. I'm doing this because the need is there and it's not being met. And so we really haven't seen anything. But it's not that it's not out there, and we certainly are looking and open to collaborating with organizations too. But the organizations we have started to work with, like Delta or Lean In or Medical College of Wisconsin, all came to us, and they have things that they want to encourage their members to be doing. That's part of membership, but it's just not something that's always facilitated by in-person meetings. And so this sort of makes it fun. You know, if there's a weekly meeting that's coming up that you want, you put that in an active boost, and now it's active. They see it in their feed, and they're like, oh yeah, I should be doing that. And then they see they get, 50 points if they go, and then we tie the charities into the groups also that we have. So there's, so they can use their points for something that they really care about too, and that charity receives, the charity that gets the most points has a $1,000 grant. So the great thing I love about iterative development and about what we're doing is we can be flexible too. And if something is out there, or if we're not feeling that what we're doing is hitting the need, then we can pivot or modify. We've done that several times already, and we're not pretending like we know exactly what this answer is. In fact, I try to encourage our staff to say, we don't know. Let's just admit we don't know, right? And the way we're going to is to constantly be out there, listening, engaging our users, or those who aren't using and understanding why. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ladies first.
Do you have a certain age range or demographic that you're targeting? I mean, I follow you on Instagram, and I can see the messages being, widely applicable to all ages. So is there someone in particular looking to grow?
Yeah. When people ask initially, and I'd say, no, it's for all women. And they're like, Mary, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You should be focused down. And I really hesitate. I really did not want to do that, because I believe that the power comes from inclusiveness, right? But in messaging, you certainly have an issue there in terms of making sure that it is reaching people and resonating with them. In our social posts, I think we pretty much target a pretty wide range. I think it's about 18 to 45, but I also see in our signups for the app, our heaviest demographic, and actually, Betsy, we're just looking at our social media, and our biggest demographic is the 25 to 34. Yep. Is that, oh yeah. And, but it doesn't mean that there aren't women who are in my age. I mean, the 50 to 60 range, or even older. And I think that was what struck me when I started having conversations with women and relaying my experience. The number of women that I ran into that said, you know what, I remember, it wasn't until I was 52 years old that I really believed in myself. And this came, I remember this woman. She started up her own company. She's CEO of an incredibly successful company. I mean, incredibly accomplished. And I think at that point she was maybe 54. It had only been 2 years that she actually believed in herself, right? And so I think it's broad, but in our messaging we have a voice that we think needs to make sure we appeal to women in their 30s, because that tends to be the people who have the most experience with being online and downloading apps. Yeah.
To piggyback off of that, do you see teens and tweens using this at all? Because they're on it more than anybody.
They are. Our content isn't directed towards that, and I think it requires a different content, different life circumstances, and so we would prefer not to be going under 18 just because just in how our language is and our content, we want to make it relatable. But over the long term, I mean, we know girls, recent research says, at the age of 6 are starting to think that boys are smarter. Girls in their teens have shown overwhelmingly that they believe that they are far more valued for the way they look than their abilities or their brains. And we got to change that. You know, if you're not going to be, to understand and reach your own potential, whatever that may be, if you're adjusting your behavior and your mindset based on a fairly narrow box that I think that that is very traditional, let's just say. Yeah, was there a question? Eric.
Excuse me. I wanted to posit an unlikely but potential future scenario just to stimulate your thinking here. So I'm Mark, your thing takes off, does really well, blah, blah, blah. So I'm Mark Zuckerberg. I'm thinking, that's very interesting. Let me see if I could tweak Facebook and set up a competing website for you. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying in the realm of, thinking about distant future, what could happen. Because this goes back to Dennis's question about competition.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think that there's nothing that does stop that other than we're pretty close to having our product out there, right? I mean, we're within 2 months of open beta, and but our mission is not about selling a platform. Our mission is really about bringing women together and to have both the content and the conversation, and the content comes also from these groups, networking the groups. So it can always happen, but I feel that if, again, I'm not in this to make money, or it's really about supporting about women. And if someone else wants to jump in there and can do it better at a lower cost and can provide that, great. I mean, that's the motivation. But I think that we believe we're building a very special community, and that the reason you want to get into it is because you want to be part of this community that encourages each other to be our boldest, bravest selves. And you can feel good about that, because that doesn't always happen. A lot of us have grown up in environments where, frankly, if you're assertive, you're bossy, right? And if you're ambitious as a woman, you're selfish. And so this is a community where, no, be your most assertive, ambitious self. But it doesn't mean if you don't feel that, we're pushing people into a mindset that they don't want to be. It's just, for everyone, it's different. And it might be as simple as raising your hand that you just would never do. And the research, if you look at how women go after jobs, we tend to read every single desired qualification. And if there's like 1 or 2 boxes we don't check, we think we're not qualified and we don't go after the jobs. The research shows that for men, if men check half the box, they'll typically apply for the job. And I mention this to some of the men I know, and they say, I just read the job description, then I decide if I'm going to apply or not. What's the worst that can happen? They say no. Women don't tend to do that. And so those are some of the ways that it affects our lives. And so this is a community. I would never have run for governor Not that I didn't want to be governor. I'm like one huge cheesehead. I love this state, right? I mean, 6 generations of my family have lived here, and there's nothing I would have rather done than be governor of this state. But I would never have run. It took other people seeing a governor in me for me to see a governor in myself. And that's a little bit what Building Brave is about. And then they nudged me and kept nudging me. And then it was just because no one else would stand up. I'm like, okay, I'll do it, right? And we need that.
I wish you would have run for president.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So kind of to that end, in the mission and, solving a social problem, and then the way I think about nonprofit space and business solutions is what are the outcomes that you look for, and are there ways to measure and evaluate that? And if one of the goals is to build a network, are there ways to capture community building within the network, within the app?
Yeah.
And then I have another question, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, I see this it can go anywhere. It's going to go where the members of our community want to take it. And we have to provide a platform that's flexible enough to go where they want to take it. The couple of things we do is right now we are not building in any one-to-one contact, because that's where the harassment and bullying can happen, and we want it all within a public. And also this is about a community building, right? And one-on-ones don't always support that. So we are willing to go where our members want to take this. And you have to remind me of the other questions.
You didn't say it.
Well, I guess the ultimate question is, what are the outcomes and how do you evaluate them?
I have always been a numbers person. And all the work that I have done in community organizations and nonprofits, I have pushed outcomes and measurements and metrics, right? We will do that, and it'll probably be self-surveys. Because when you talk about true confidence, confidence is believing in yourself and believing you're enough, just as you are. It's not the beat your chest, I'm the greatest. In fact, it's admitting with all my flaws and exactly how I am, I'm good. And so that sense, that's really, really what's at the heart of this. And if women can report that being part of Building Brave increases that sense, we will have done our job. But we also see it we monitor all of our metrics every day. What booths are getting selected, how many of those are getting completed. I was at a meeting the other day. A woman came up to me I had never met, and she's like, oh my gosh, I just have to share my experience with you. I did that one about the eye contact. I had never thought about that. That was so cool. I did the eye contact like 7 seconds, And that's it. That's how I measure, right? And when you're talking about 10 million, but that's what we want. How we will actually do that, whether it's through a survey or through how much engagement on the site, but that's going to be whether people are engaging on the site, whether they're engaging with the practices and sharing each other. But we have really good conversations that go on there too. That truly will be the sign. Yeah.
The other one, if you don't mind, is there a way to tag different types of identity? I guess the underlying part of my question is, as a member of the LGBTQ community, how are trans women invited or welcomed or represented within this space? And are there ways to, address intersectionality of identity as a woman?
I think that there definitely are, and that's where we really see that the groups can be a part of finding the conversations and content that is most relatable to your life. What's important, though, is that overall, whether it's on our website, whether it's in our videos, we have signals that say to someone in a community, I'm welcome, right? It's not necessarily providing a whole list and saying, hey, if you're this, we got this. I think we just want to make sure that there are. So one thing we had heard back off of social media from one of our postings on the video is someone who says, a woman of color who said, I didn't see myself in this Hands video. Well, the fact is actually out of 9 hands, like 4 were from women of color. But it didn't appear that way with the palms and the hands. And so we talked about this in our office because we have staff who are women of color. And they said, well, we have to have other ways where we're signaling that women are welcome. Certainly if you go on social media, we have very, very diverse postings, and it very much says. But whether we have sent that message, I'm sure there's women out there who don't feel like they have gotten that. So we have to work hard at that. I think but that's who we are, and we do rely on people coming and saying to us, I'm not seeing it. And then it's not that we intentionally included or didn't include something. It gives us the feedback to be able to revisit it and make sure we're sending the right messages.
So our usual wrap-up questions. What can we as the community do to help you? It looks like that slide kind of encapsulates it, but any parting asks for the community?
Well, I would say, because there's a lot of men here, and I have to say this isn't the most welcoming community for men at this point. But there are things in your lives every single day about how you can support women to be their most confident selves. And it is things that if you're in a meeting, maybe if you see a woman maybe not speaking, being talked over, if you know she has a good idea, sometimes we need to be asked. It's like, oh, actually, Mary, I'm really interested in what you had to say on this. Or I'd like to go back to the point that Heather made. That type of thing can mean a lot. And also, we all carry biases. They're really implicit biases. Women have them as much as men with regards to women, but the research is pretty astounding out there in terms of, well, I'll try to quick. Has anyone heard of the Heidi and Howard study? Case study. Columbia Business School took a case study of a venture capitalist and made 2 versions of it. And the only thing that they changed was the name of the protagonist. 1 male, 1 female, Howard and Heidi. Then they gave the different case studies to different business school students, and then they got their feedback. The feedback was that both Howard and Heidi were respected. Howard was seen as likable. Heidi was seen as selfish and not the type of person you'd want to work for or hire. Absolutely no difference. And it wasn't any difference between men and women in that feedback. Those are our biases. And it's hard, even when you're aware of them, to be able to overcome them. But I would ask everyone in their lives every single day to try to check those biases, to ask yourself once more, hold on, why am I making this judgment? Because that's how we're going to, we got to get at the root of that. So that would be an additional ask.
Great. Well, thank you so much to our sponsors, Old National Bank, Field 59, Atlas Providers. Thank you to our panel of experts. Thank you so much, Mary, and thank you to all of you. Please keep coming back. It's your first time. I hope it's not your last.
Great. Thank you.